when dragons learned to fly among the stars. The mountains of Eldrath had always been home to dragons. For centuries, their wings painted the skies red and gold, their roars echoed like thunder, and their scales shimmered under the sun. But even the vast blue heavens began to feel small to them as ages passed. The dragons, once proud and fierce, began to wonder if there was something beyond the clouds, something greater than the winds they ruled. Among them lived a young dragon named Aurelian. He was not the largest nor the strongest, but his heart was restless. Every night, he would perch upon the highest cliff of Mount Fyr, gazing at the dark heavens where tiny lights flickered like scattered jewels. "What are those lights?" he asked his mother once, his golden eyes filled with wonder. "They are stars," she replied softly, curling her great wings around him. "Cold fires burning far beyond our sky. They are not meant for us." "But why not?" Aurelian asked. "If we can soar above the storms and dance with lightning, can we not reach the stars too?" His mother smiled sadly. "Some things are not for dragons to know, little one. The stars belong to the gods." But Aurelian could not stop thinking about them. Every night, he watched them move slowly across the endless dark. He began to notice patterns, the way some stars glimmered brighter than others, how they shifted with the passing of seasons. He even gave them names: the Silver Flame, the Sleeping Giant, the River of Fire. While other dragons hunted or hoarded treasures, Aurelian collected dreams. One day, during the Festival of Wings, a great gathering where dragons from all across Eldrath showed their strength, Aurelian dared to speak before the elders. He stood before the council, their scales ancient and eyes glowing with wisdom. "Honored ones," he began, his voice trembling but brave, "why do we limit ourselves to the sky when there is an entire sea of light above us? Why can't we fly higher, beyond the clouds, beyond the air itself, to the stars?" A deep silence followed. The dragons stared at him in disbelief. Then, one of the oldest dragons, Eldrath the Crimson, let out a low growl. "Foolish hatchling," he thundered. "You speak of madness. There is no air beyond the clouds. No life. No fire. The stars are not places to go. They are God's eyes watching us." Another elder, Sapphira the Azure Flame, tilted her head and spoke more gently. "Curiosity is a spark, young Aurelian. But be careful, it can burn even the strongest wings." The crowd of dragons laughed and muttered among themselves. Some called him a dreamer, others a fool. Aurelian felt the heat of embarrassment burn through his scales. But somewhere deep within, the flame of his dream refused to die. That night, as the festival fires dimmed, an old, gray-scaled dragon approached him. Her name was Lysara, a reclusive seer who lived on the edge peaks. "I heard your words," she said, her voice soft as the wind. "You wish to reach the stars." Aurelian bowed his head. "Yes, but no one believes me. They say it's impossible." Lysara smiled faintly. "Everything is impossible until it isn't. Long ago, dragons could not even fly. They crawled on the earth like beasts until one looked up and dreamed of the sky." Aurelian's eyes widened. "Do you mean there's a way?" "Perhaps," she whispered. "But to touch the stars, you must understand them. You must learn their language." "Language?" Lysara nodded. "The stars speak in light. They send whispers through the night, but few can hear. Follow their song, Aurelian. It will guide you." She gave him a shard of crystal, smooth and clear, that shimmered faintly when held up to the night. "This will help you listen." Aurelian took it carefully, feeling its gentle hum beneath his claws. He looked at Lysara with gratitude. "Thank you. I will not forget this." "Do not thank me yet," she said. "The path to the stars is not lit by fire, but by sacrifice." In the days that followed, Aurelian began his secret journey. Each night, he climbed higher than before, soaring through storms and cold winds, holding the crystal close to his chest. When he reached the highest clouds, he would stop and listen. At first, there was only silence. Then, faintly, he began to hear a hum, a distant melody, like 1,000 voices singing softly across eternity. It was beautiful and strange. The stars were singing. He realized they were not silent fires but living things, ancient and wise. Their voices filled his mind with visions, swirling lights, burning worlds, rivers of silver dust. And he understood. There was more beyond the sky. One night, the voice of a star called out clearly through the crystal. "Aurelian of Eldrath," it said, "you are not the first to dream of the heavens. But dreams require courage. Will you give up the earth to find the sky beyond skies?" Aurelian's heart pounded. "Yes," he whispered, "I will." "Then come find us," the voice said, fading into the wind. "But know this, no wings made of flesh can fly among the stars. You must become something more." From that moment, Aurelian knew his life would never be the same. While the other dragons slept, he began to build. He gathered crystals, firestone, and molten metals from the heart of the mountains. He studied the storms, the winds, and the strange forces that pulled at his wings when he climbed too high. Slowly, he began to understand the balance of the world, the gravity that kept them bound to the earth, and the light that danced free above. The dragons mocked him, calling him the Sky Fool. But Aurelian did not care. His fire burned brighter than their laughter. He worked for years, shaping something no dragon had ever dared to make, a vessel of light, carved from his own flames and the heartstone of Mount Fyr. When it was done, it shimmered like a piece of the night sky itself. Aurelian stood before it and whispered, "With this, I will touch the stars." As dawn rose over Eldrath, the winds trembled. Aurelian spread his wings one last time and took off, higher than he had ever flown before. The air grew thin, the light grew faint, and his wings began to tremble. But he pushed harder. Lightning danced around him. His lungs burned. The world below became small, a blue gem in a sea of gold. Then, with a roar that shook the heavens, Aurelian disappeared beyond the clouds. The dragons below gasped. Some believed he had died. Others thought he had been swallowed by the gods. But Lysara, standing on her lonely peak, looked up and smiled. "The sky," she whispered, "was never enough." For a long moment, there was only darkness. No wind, no warmth, no sound. Aurelian opened his eyes and saw a black void stretching in all directions, filled with distant lights, millions of them, shimmering like cold fireflies. The air was gone, and yet he breathed. His wings drifted weightless, glowing faintly. He had crossed beyond the world he knew. At first, fear gripped him. His body felt lighter, yet strange forces pulled at him. His wings no longer beat against air. They cut through nothing. The stars, though near, seemed impossibly far. He whispered to himself, "I did it. I am among the stars." But joy soon gave way to confusion. How could he move? How could he live in this silence? The warmth of the sun felt faint, distant. The light of the earth below was no more than a fading glimmer. Then the crystal Lysara had given him began to hum softly, growing warmer against his chest. The voice of the stars returned. "Welcome, Aurelian of Eldrath." Aurelian turned, searching. "Who speaks?" "We are the choir of stars," the voice answered, "many yet one, gentle yet mighty. We have watched your kind since the dawn of flame. Few have ever come this far." Aurelian bowed his head in awe. "I wanted to see you, to understand you, to fly where no dragon has ever flown." "And you have," the stars replied. "But to live among the heavens, you must change. Flesh cannot survive where light is born." "I don't understand," Aurelian said. "What must I do?" "Let go of the world below. Let go of the weight that binds you. Let your fire burn brighter than your fear." Aurelian hesitated. "You mean, I must give up being a dragon?" "Not give up, become more." The stars around him began to shimmer and swirl. Lines of light connected them, forming shapes. Ancient dragons made of fire and constellations, their wings vast as galaxies. "We were once like you," they said. "Dragons of the first flame. We burned the skies of our worlds until we learned to burn without air, to fly without wings. Aurelian's heart pounded. Then, I can become like you? If you are brave enough to let your old self die. Aurelian looked down at his claws, at the faint cracks of light spreading through them. His body was changing, his scales glowing with golden fire, his wings trailing ribbons of light. Pain surged through him, not from his body, but from his soul. The stars sang softly, their voices weaving through his pain like a melody of creation. Fear not, young one. All endings are beginnings. Aurelian closed his eyes and let the light take him. His body dissolved into a stream of golden embers that scattered among the stars. He felt himself breaking apart, yet becoming whole in a way he had never known. When the light dimmed, he opened his eyes again and gasped. He was no longer bound by flesh. His wings were now vast trails of flame and starlight, stretching across the void. His heart burned not with blood, but with radiant energy. He was still Aurelian, but different, eternal, luminous. The stars around him pulsed brighter in greeting. You have joined us, Aurelian Starborn, they said. You are the first of your kind to awaken beyond the sky. For what felt like centuries, Aurelian drifted through the cosmos. He learned the dance of planets, the rhythm of comets, and the heartbeat of suns. He spoke with other lights, the ancient star dragons who told him of their worlds long lost, their fires long spent. He saw things beyond imagination, a black star devouring its own light, a river of frozen flame cutting across the dark, a sleeping world covered in crystal seas. Each sight filled him with wonder, but also with a quiet ache. For in all the vastness, he was alone. He thought of Eldrath, of the mountains that had raised him, of the dragons who had laughed at his dream. Did they still fly beneath the same sky? Did they remember him? Aurelian spread his wings of starlight and whispered, "They will never believe I lived." Belief, said one of the elder stars, is a fragile flame. But even the smallest fire can light the dark. In time, Aurelian discovered something strange. Wherever he flew, he left behind a trail of glowing dust, like golden ashes. When the dust gathered upon barren worlds, it shimmered, and from it rose tiny sparks, life. He realized that his flight was giving birth to creation itself. His flames carried warmth, light, and the seeds of new worlds. The stars watched in silence as he painted the void with his fire. Your gift, they said, is not only flight, but creation. Every breath you take kindles new suns. Every spark from your wings becomes a star. Aurelian felt awe and humility. Then, we dragons were never meant just to rule the skies. We were meant to bring light. Yes, the stars replied. But light must also remember where it came from. One day, while drifting near a young sun, Aurelian heard a faint cry, like the echo of a voice carried across ages. It was soft, almost forgotten, but he recognized it instantly. It was Lysara's voice. Through the crystal that still glowed at his heart, her spirit reached out. Aurelian, she whispered, the dragons of Eldrath have forgotten you. They no longer dream of the stars. Their wings have grown heavy with pride and fear. Their hearts have turned from the light. Aurelian's fire flickered with sorrow. Then I must go back. They must know that there is more beyond the sky. The way back is not the same, Lysara warned. You are not bound by Earth anymore. If you return, your light will not last long among mortals. I understand, Aurelian said softly. But if one dream can awaken a world, I must try. Lysara's spirit smiled. Then go, Aurelian Starborn. Show them the fire beyond the heavens. With a roar that shook the void, Aurelian turned his wings toward the distant blue gem of his home. The light of his body flared brighter than any star. He flew faster than comets, cutting through the night like a living sun. The stars watched him go, their voices rising in a song of farewell. Fly, Aurelian. Fly until the stars remember your name. When he neared Eldrath, he saw the world bathed in shadow. Storms raged where mountains once stood proud. The dragons had grown divided, their skies filled with battles instead of songs. He felt pain deep in his soul, but he also felt hope. Hovering above the clouds, he whispered, "Let them see what I have seen. Let them dream again." His body began to glow brighter, his flames breaking into streams of light. He spread his wings wide, wider than the horizon, and unleashed a roar that echoed through the world. The heavens burst open in radiance. The night sky lit up with 1,000,000 new stars, each one born from Aurelian's fire. The dragons below stopped fighting. They looked up, stunned, as the dark heavens blossomed with light. And among the stars, they saw the shape of a dragon, vast and bright, soaring beyond their reach. Aurelian's voice echoed through the wind one last time. "The sky is not the end. It is only the beginning." Then, slowly, his light faded into the night, becoming one with the stars he had so long admired. Generations passed since Aurelian's light filled the skies of Eldrath. His name became a legend, whispered among dragons when the stars shone brightest. They called him Aurelian Starborn, the dragon who flew beyond the sky and never returned. But as time moved like the slow turning of the heavens, the dragons began to forget. His tale became myth, and myth became a bedtime story told to young hatchlings. Once, they would say, there was a foolish dragon who tried to fly too high and was burned by the gods. Only a few still remembered the truth, that when Aurelian vanished, the night itself had been reborn in his fire. The world had changed. Eldrath was no longer the proud land of soaring dragons and blazing skies. The mountains had cooled, the volcanoes slept, and the dragons had grown heavy with age and comfort. They built vast cities of stone and gold, choosing to live on the ground rather than the wind. They still flew, but only for ceremony. Their fire was dim, their eyes dull with disinterest. They no longer looked to the stars. Yet in the quiet valleys of the south, far from the cities, a young dragon named Ceres would often sit on the cliffs and stare upward. She had been told that the stars were just distant fires, nothing more. But in her heart, she felt something else, a strange, aching pull, as though the lights above were calling her name. One night, as she gazed at the sky, she whispered, "Why do you shine if we are not meant to follow?" The wind carried her words into the dark, and from somewhere deep within the night, something shimmered, a single star pulsing brighter, as if in answer. Ceres blinked. "Did you just listen?" she whispered. The star flickered again, and for the first time in 1,000 years, the heavens began to sing once more. The next morning, Ceres ran to the Temple of Flames, where the oldest dragon, Archon Vera, guarded the sacred scrolls. "Elder Vera," she cried. "The stars, they spoke to me." The elder dragon lifted her wrinkled head slowly, her scales pale silver like fading moonlight. "Spoke? The stars do not speak, child." "But they do," Ceres insisted. "I saw them shimmer, and I heard a hum, a song. It felt alive." The elder's eyes softened. "There was once a time," she murmured, "when dragons believed such things. Long ago, a young dragon named Aurelian." "I know his name," Ceres said eagerly. "The Starborn? They say he flew too far and never came back." Vera's gaze turned toward the window, where sunlight spilled upon the temple floor. "Yes, but I do not believe he was lost. Some say his fire became the stars themselves. Perhaps you are hearing his echo." Ceres frowned. "If it's true, then why did we stop believing?" "Because," Vera sighed, "dreams fade faster than stone." The dragons grew content with the world they could touch. They forgot to look up. Ceres's wings rustled. Then, maybe it's time someone reminded them. That night, she climbed to the highest peak near her home and spread her wings. The wind was strong, wild, alive. "Show me," she whispered to the stars. "Show me your song." The sky shimmered in response. One by one, the stars began to pulse with light, forming patterns she had never noticed before, great shapes of dragons, wings outstretched across the heavens. And then, in the center of it all, one star burned brighter than the rest, glowing gold. A voice, distant but kind, spoke through the wind. Ceres of Eldrath. Her breath caught. Who are you? Aurelian, the voice said, like a memory reborn in fire. You have heard the call. Few still can. Tears welled in Ceres's eyes. You're real. You're truly real. Real as flame, Aurelian said softly. But I am no longer of your world. My fire lives among the stars now. And yet, my dream still burns within hearts like yours. Ceres's wings trembled. What must I do? Teach them to dream again, Aurelian said. Tell them that their fire is not only for destruction or pride, but for creation, for light. His voice began to fade, carried by the wind. The sky is waiting, Ceres. When dragons remember how to dream, they will once again learn to fly among the stars. Ceres spent the following days in silence, her mind burning with purpose. She returned to the city and spoke to anyone who would listen. The Starborn spoke to me, she said. Aurelian is not gone. He watches us from above. The stars are his gift. We can reach them too. But most dragons laughed. Old tales for hatchlings, one said. Stars? Ha! There's no fire beyond the sky, said another. Even the younger ones mocked her, calling her star eyes. Yet not all dismissed her. A few dragons, dreamers, wanderers, and the curious began to follow her into the mountains at night. There, beneath the open sky, she taught them to listen, to truly listen, to the quiet hum that lived between the stars. At first they heard nothing, but with time, a faint sound began to rise, a low, melodic hum, like the beating of great wings. The dragons gasped. It's real. Ceres smiled. Aurelian's fire never died. It only waited. Under her guidance, the dragons began to rediscover their lost connection to the heavens. They practiced flying at night, aligning their paths with the constellations. They learned to channel their inner flame into their wings, glowing faintly as they soared through the dark. The mountains soon came alive with trails of light, dragons glowing like comets streaking across the night. They called themselves the children of the starfire. For the first time in ages, the sky was no longer silent. But their awakening did not go unnoticed. From deep beneath Eldrath's crust, where molten rivers slumbered, an ancient power stirred. The shadow flame, a remnant of the world's first fire, had long waited in silence, feeding on the forgotten fears of dragons. It whispered through the cracks in the earth. They dare to fly again? To follow the light that abandoned them. Dark smoke rose from the mountain's roots. The shadow flame began to form shape, a vast dragon made of molten shadow and black fire. Its name was Nyros, the devourer of dawn. He had once been a dragon too, long before Aurelian's time, a creature who had sought to claim the stars for himself, but failed and fell, his pride turned to darkness. Now he would rise again. Far above, in the heavens, Aurelian watched from his place among the stars. His fire flickered with unease. The balance shifts again, he murmured. Light and shadow must always dance, but if darkness rises unchecked, all fire will fade. He turned his gaze toward Eldrath and whispered into the wind. Ceres, the trial of the stars has begun. In the days that followed, strange omens appeared across Eldrath. The skies darkened at noon. The stars flickered even when the night was clear. Rivers of ash flowed down the mountainsides. Ceres felt it before anyone else, a heavy pressure in the air, like the heartbeat of the world slowing down. Something ancient was awakening. She gathered her followers in the Valley of Flames. Something stirs beneath us, she warned. A shadow older than memory. We must be ready. How can we fight what we do not understand? One dragon asked. Ceres looked toward the heavens. By remembering what we are. By letting our fire shine brighter than fear. That night, the earth cracked open. A storm of black fire erupted from the mountains, and Nyros rose. Massive, burning, terrible. His wings blotted out the stars. His roar turned the sky red. I am the first flame, he thundered. The one who was cast down. You cannot touch the stars. They are mine. Sarah stood before him, her golden eyes blazing. They belong to no one. The stars shine for all who dare to dream. Nyros roared in fury, and the war of fire and shadow began. The night of the shadow flame came with no dawn. Dark smoke rolled across Eldrath, swallowing the moon and stars. The air itself trembled with the roar of Nyros, the devourer of dawn. His wings spread like a storm, dripping molten ash that set the forests ablaze. His eyes burned with hatred, a hunger for the light he could never reach. Below, the dragons of Eldrath fled in terror. Cities of gold and stone crumbled under the force of his fire. Mountains cracked open like eggshells. The world seemed to end beneath his shadow. But in the Valley of Flames, Sarah stood her ground. Her scales glowed faintly with the fire of the stars, and around her gathered the dragons who still believed, the children of the starfire. They trembled, yes, but not from fear. From the fire rising in their hearts. Sarah raised her wings, their edges shimmering like silver light. "Listen," she cried. "The world below us burns, but above still shines the light of Aurelian. His fire never died, and it calls to us even now." Her words carried through the valley like a gust of wind, reaching every frightened dragon who still dared to hope. And then, faintly, from beyond the black clouds, came a flicker of golden light. One star, burning brighter than the rest, pierced the veil of smoke. Sarah lifted her eyes. "He's watching," she whispered. "We are not alone." Nyros descended, his massive claws carving through the mountain peaks. His voice rumbled through the earth. "You dare call upon him?" he roared. "The traitor who abandoned the flame?"
He was weak.
"He turned from the power that should have been ours." Sarah spread her wings wide. "He turned from darkness. He gave us light." The shadow flame bellowed, a roar that split the air. "Then you will burn with him." With a sweep of his tail, black fire poured across the valley. But Sarah leapt into the air, spinning through the smoke. Her wings left trails of silver as she darted upward, followed by her companions. They formed a circle in the sky, a ring of fire and light above the shadow.
"Now!"
Sarah shouted. The dragons released their breath together. 1,000 flames of gold and silver collided, forming a great storm of light that struck Nyros square in the chest. The mountain shuddered from the impact. The shadow dragon stumbled, his roar shaking the heavens. Yet he did not fall. His laughter rumbled like thunder. "You cannot destroy darkness with fire, child. Fire is mine." He opened his jaws, unleashing a torrent of black flame that devoured their light. Sarah cried out as the searing dark fire hit her wings. She plummeted toward the earth, her vision dimming. But just before she struck the ground, a hand of light caught her. A figure of golden fire hovered before her. A dragon made of light and starlight, vast and radiant. His eyes glowed with gentle warmth. "Aurelian," she whispered weakly. He smiled. "You fly well, Sarah of Eldrath. But you cannot fight darkness alone. You must unite them. All of them." She tried to speak, but her throat burned. "They don't believe." "Then give them something to believe in," Aurelian said. His wings flared, scattering starlight across the battlefield. "Remind them what they once were." All across Eldrath, dragons lifted their eyes. Through the smoke, they saw him, Aurelian Starborn, his light piercing the endless night. For a moment, every dragon felt the warmth of his flame within them. They remembered the skies that had once been their kingdom, the songs they had sung in the age of flight, the freedom of the wind beneath their wings. And one by one, their fires rekindled. From the north, silver-scaled dragons rose from their stone halls. From the east, crimson dragons of the desert joined the fight. Even the mountain elders, long grounded by age, lifted themselves once more into the sky. The heavens came alive with fire. Hundreds, then thousands of dragons soared upward, their wings glowing in colors unseen before: blue, gold, violet, white. Together, they formed a great storm of light above Nyros, a living constellation burning against the dark. Ceres rose again, her body trembling but her spirit fierce. She joined them, her wings leaving streaks of silver flame. Aurelian's voice echoed through the sky. Fly, dragons of Eldrath. Remember who you are. You are not bound by the earth. You are fire made to burn among the stars. Nyros bellowed in fury as the sky turned against him. You think your weak light can undo me? I am the shadow of creation. I am eternal. He spread his wings and drew in their light, his body swelling with stolen flame. The heavens dimmed as he absorbed their fire. The dragons faltered, their light flickering. Ceres felt her strength fading. The world seemed to tremble on the edge of ruin. Then, from deep within, she heard a whisper, not from Aurelian this time, but from herself. A dragon's fire is not just heat and flame. It is hope. Her eyes blazed. She roared, igniting her inner fire until it turned white-hot, brighter than the sun. The light spread to those around her, and soon every dragon burned with the same fierce radiance. Their combined fire became something greater than magic, pure starlight. They dove together, 1,000 streaks of brilliance converging into one great spear of light that struck Nyros square in the heart. The shadow dragon screamed as cracks of light split across his body. His black flames shattered, his wings turning to ash. No, he growled. You cannot destroy me. Where there is light, there will always be shadow. Aurelian's voice answered from the heavens, calm and bright. Yes, Nyros. But where there is shadow, there must also be light. And now, the balance returns. With that, Aurelian descended like a falling sun. His light merged with the dragons, forming a wave of golden fire that enveloped Nyros completely. For a moment, the world went silent. Then, slowly, the darkness faded. The smoke cleared. The stars returned. When the light dimmed, Aurelian stood upon the mountain once more. His body flickered faintly, his energy nearly gone. Ceres approached, her eyes full of tears. You saved us. He smiled gently.
No, Ceres. You saved yourselves.
You remembered. She lowered her head. Will you stay? The world needs you. Aurelian looked toward the heavens. My place is above, where the fire of creation burns. But my light will always be here, in your hearts. He raised one wing toward the sky. When you see the stars shimmer, it means I am watching. And when you fly among them, you will not fly alone. A single tear of light fell from his eye, landing in Ceres's claws. It hardened into a crystal, a piece of the first flame. Guard it well, he said, for in it burns the promise of all who dream. Then his light rose slowly, dissolving into the sky until only a trail of gold remained. That night, the dragons gathered in the Valley of Flames once more. The air was still, the stars bright. Ceres held the crystal high. Let this be our vow, she said, that we will never again forget who we are. That we will fly not only for pride or power, but for wonder, for hope, and for the light that burns within us. The dragons bowed their heads. One by one, they released their fire into the air, 1,000 flames rising together, merging with the night until the sky shone brighter than ever before. The war beneath the starlit sky had ended. And from that night onward, Eldrath was no longer a world of dragons who looked down. It became a world of dragons who looked up. The world below was quiet now. The kingdoms that once feared the dragons had long since turned to dust, their stones buried under forests and seas. The scars of war had healed into mountains, rivers, and meadows. Time had flowed like a gentle river, washing away the noise of hatred and leaving behind silence, a silence filled with memories. Aurelian stood on the edge of the silver moon, his wings glowing faintly with the shimmer of stardust. Around him, thousands of dragons circled in graceful arcs, their scales reflecting constellations like mirrors of light. For the first time in ages, the sky itself seemed alive, not with fire or fear, but with wonder. The promise remembered. Lyra drifted beside him, her eyes soft and knowing. You kept your promise, she whispered. Her voice echoed in the emptiness between stars. You taught them how to rise. Aurelian smiled, his expression weary but peaceful. No, he said softly. They taught me. When I lost my wings to the flames of men, I thought I would never fly again. But it was their faith, yours and Elandra's, that gave me new ones. Lyra's gaze turned toward the blue planet below. And what of them? The humans? Do you forgive them? Aurelian hesitated. The stars reflected in his eyes, and for a long while, he said nothing. Then, quietly, he answered, forgiveness was never mine to give. It was something we all had to learn. They learned to dream again, and we learned to fly without anger. The song of creation. Deep in the distance, the great star stirred, the same one that had called Aurelian in the beginning. Its light flared brighter, casting ripples of silver across the cosmic sea. The dragons turned toward it, feeling an ancient pull, the song of creation itself. It calls us, said Lyra. The stars are opening their wings. Aurelian nodded. Then let us answer. With a single motion, he spread his wings. Starlight poured from them, falling like golden rain. The other dragons followed, their wings igniting with colors unseen on any world, blues like frozen music, reds like the memory of dawn, greens like dreams of home. Together, they rose higher and higher, breaking through the unseen walls between galaxies. Each beat of their wings left trails of light that wove across the universe, a tapestry of motion and eternity. And then they sang. It was not a song made of words, but of memory, fire, and light. It told of the first flames that birthed the world, of the sorrows that had scarred it, and of the forgiveness that had mended it. The stars themselves trembled to hear it, and new constellations were born, shaped like dragons with wings spread across the sky. The return of the first flame. Far away, in the void beyond time, the first flame flickered. It had watched silently since the dawn of everything, waiting for someone worthy to carry its fire. Now, seeing the dragons soar beyond the boundaries of the universe, it burned brighter, warmer, prouder. You have done well, a voice said, not aloud but within every soul. You have taken the fire meant for war and turned it into light. You have learned what even gods forgot, that flight is not escape, but understanding. Aurelian bowed his head. Then let this be our home, he said. Among the stars, where no hatred can reach us. The flame answered with silence, and then it burst outward, scattering 1,000 sparks across the cosmos. Each spark became a new star, and within each one, a whisper of dragon fire remained. Elandra's legacy. On the far side of a glowing nebula, a familiar voice spoke, soft, filled with laughter and love. You finally did it, Elandra said. Her form shimmered, made of pure light. You showed them that the sky was only the beginning. Aurelian turned to her, his heart aching with joy. I only followed your dream, he said. You were the one who believed there was more than earth and ashes. Elandra smiled. Then keep believing. For every child who looks up at the stars, let them see your wings and remember that wonder is never lost, only waiting. Her image faded slowly, leaving behind a single glowing feather that drifted through the void. Aurelian caught it gently and placed it against his heart. The eternal flight. 1,000 years passed. Then 10,000. Still, the dragons flew, guardians of light, keepers of stories. Some said their wings became the galaxies themselves. Others believed that every comet, every falling star, was a dragon's tear, falling for a world they once knew. Aurelian became a constellation, the Dragon King. Lyra became the Whispering Flame. Together, their shapes danced across the night sky, forever reminding mortals that even the fiercest hearts could learn to dream again. Sometimes, on clear nights, if one listened closely, they could hear a faint hum, a rhythm like wings cutting through infinity. The old songs called it the sound of flight, the last dream. Back on Earth, now older, gentler, wiser, a young girl stood on a mountain peak. The sky was dark, filled with stars so bright they looked like living eyes. She raised her hand toward them and smiled. "Mother," she said softly, "do you think dragons still live up there?" Her mother laughed quietly. "Maybe, my love. Maybe they became the stars themselves." The girl's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Then I'll find them one day," she said. "I'll fly among them." High above, a shooting star blazed across the heavens, trailing gold and silver, as if a dragon had heard her wish and answered. Epilogue: The Wings of Tomorrow. And so, the story of dragons did not end with the ashes of war or the silence of extinction. It lived on in every spark that fell from the night sky, in every dream that dared to reach beyond its cage. For when dragons learned to fly among the stars, they carried more than their fire. They carried hope, memory, and the endless promise that even in the coldest dark, there would always be light. And that light, the light of their wings, will shine for all eternity.